Yeah. There. Thanks. We have a couple more to sign later.
Short guys can sit up front.
You'll be okay.
Okay, at this time, I'd like to call this meeting to order. I ask that all who have not signed in, please do so. Please turn off all cell phones and other electronic devices, and please conduct any private conversations in the hallway or outside. Emergency exits can be found on your right and to your left. And at this time, Chief Chapman, yourself, and other members of the department, if you please lead us in the pledge, we'd be honored.
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Okay, we do have a public hearing this evening, and I ask our town clerk if she would please read the public hearing notice.
A notice of public hearing for the local law opting out of allowing cannabis retail dispensary licenses within the town of Victor as authorized under Cannabis Law, Article 4, scheduled for the 27th day of December 2021 at 7 p.m. in the Victor Town Hall, was published and posted in the Daily Messenger newspaper on December 17th, 2021, and a copy was also posted on the signboard of the Town Hall and our website.
Thank you very much, Town Clerk. So at this time, I'd ask if there's any members of the public that care to speak for or against this action by the Town Board.
I would, sir.
Please come to the podium, state your name for the record.
Certainly. My name is Glenna Colapretti. I own Glenna CBD in Eastview Mall and also Brighton 12 Corners and a spa. I'm also a hemp farmer in Lima, Penfield, and Romulus, and I have been for the last 3 years. I'm also an adjunct professor at FLCC teaching cannabis regulations, as well as the social equity co-chair for the New York State Cannabis Growers and Processors Association. I've been asked to come here tonight on behalf of some of my students that are interested in participating in this compliant upcoming industry, as well as some additional business owners in Victor area. So what I'd like to just indicate, I'm not sure what's been previously discussed, but I just want to articulate some facts as far as some studies that have been conducted across the country as of states that have legalized. As far as the property values that have increased on average about 7.7% within a mile radius of any and all compliant cannabis dispensaries. I also want to indicate that there's been a 7.7 reduction on average of ER visits for opioid addiction overdoses. There's a direct correlation to the legalization of cannabis in a compliant manner as far as crime in and around that area being reduced, and as well as the obvious benefits of having the 4% MRTA tax go to the county and the town or municipality, whereas Victor would share in 3% of that, 1% would go to the county. So there's obviously some fiduciary benefits in and around having a dispensary. The rules and regulations, of course, as specified by the Office of Control Management and CCB, will be forthcoming. So I understand that there's some lack of clarity as far as certain elements, but the town does reserve the right to denote how and when a business will operate, inclusive of a cannabis dispensary. As far as location, time, there'll be municipality and zoning restrictions, just like any other business. This is an adult use, so it's not geared towards children. It'll be 21 and over. It's a very strict compliance as far as access, as far as New York State IDs, seed to sale tracking, and any and all compliance in regards to marijuana intake and marijuana leaving with a consumer. So I just wanted to iterate these facts and lend any questions that you might have that I might be able to answer that weren't answered previously in regards to what I just denoted.
I appreciate your attendance. So, public hearings, our intention here is just to listen to public, gather
Sure.
public input. There is a resolution at the tail end of the meeting. If you have interest or sticking around at that point, certainly myself, I will offer a couple comments, and my colleagues may as well. Okay?
Sounds great. Thank you for your time.
You're very welcome. Any other members of the public care to speak for or against? Sir, if you would.
Chauncey Young, 660 Old Dutch Road. I speak against the opting out also. For full disclosure, I'm a matriculated student, part-time student at FLCC. Was actually one of my instructors in the cannabis track in the horticultural department. I don't use the stuff, and the other students in the class, wonder about why I'm in there. Well, I think it's a real disservice that we've done to our country by, making it illegal. I'm going off track here because Glenna took care of most of my stuff I had here. This is an ounce of sage, but I can actually carry around 3 ounces of this right now if it was marijuana, okay? Legally, bring it in here. I can smoke it anywhere else, and I applaud the town and the village for, in my mind, smoking is not good for you, so I applaud that you've taken that away from, the ability of people to smoke in the parks and all that sort of stuff. What I guess I'll get right down to the bottom line then, since just about everything else was taken care of by Glenna, is taxes. I think you are going to probably miss the boat if you opt out. What I'm thinking there's going to be a limited number of licenses that are going to be issued, so that the fact that, and they're going to be directed more to areas of, what do you want to call it, where the cannabis laws were more affected. And so City of Geneva, Canandaigua will get those consumption and the dispensaries, and then it'll go out to others areas. Some of the students in the class I'm in, are very concerned that, if they're in this area, that they won't be able to have an operation here. I know as a resident of Victor, I'll go down to the village of Bloomfield, because they're going to have a dispensary. They'll have a consumption lounge. If you go on the opt-out site there, you'll see that there's villages and towns all around us that have opted in. So just don't want you to miss the boat. The revenues could be important.
Thank you. Any other members of the public care to speak for or against this law? Okay. May I have a motion to close the public hearing?
So moved. Second.
All those in favor?
Aye.
Okay. Moving to supervisor announcements. First of all, thank you all wearing your masks. Very much appreciate it. I wish to declare necessarily absent this evening, Councilman Condon. All town operations will be closed Friday, the 31st, New Year's Eve. Town Board will convene our annual organizational meeting at 6:30 p.m., followed immediately by our first Town Board meeting of the year on January the 3rd, next Monday. The second meeting of the month will be on the 24th. And for the month of January, we have 5 employees who will be celebrating a birthday. Happy birthday on July. Moving a little too quickly here, Mr. Marin. Happy birthday to Sean McAdoo on the 1st. To Bob Graham, who is in attendance this evening, and Tammy Viana on the 11th of January. Lisa Boughton on the 12th, and Kim Kinsella on the 19th. And Town Hall will also be closed on the 17th in observation of Martin Luther King Day. So those are Some brief announcements real quick. Town Board, moving to meeting minutes of the December 13th Town Board meeting. May I have a motion to approve these meeting minutes?
Moved. Second.
All those in favor?
Aye.
Those opposed? Those minutes have been approved. This time, I'll ask our town clerk to please introduce the abstract of claims, abstract manifest number 24th.
Manifest 24 for 2021 in the amount of $407,186.15 has been reviewed by the Victor Town Board with the following accounts charged: general townwide, general outside village, highway townwide, sanitary conveyance capital improvement project. The lighting districts of Fishers, Brookwood Meadows, High Point, Cobblestone, Coyle Ridge, Rolling Meadows, Stone Lay, and Legacy at the Fairways, S&S Consolidated Sewer Fund, and Trust and Agency.
Thank you, Karen. What you see up there on the screen, ladies and gentlemen, is a snapshot of this evening's expenditures. We introduced this about 10 years ago because, like yourself, I used to sit in the audience and I'd hear these numbers. And actually, if you think that number's high, you ought to come back the latter part of January, early part of February, when we collect all the taxes, and we would actually have the money for the Fishers Fire District up there as well. So it'd be in the millions of dollars. But with that said, so those in attendance don't get sticker shock over this. So the intent here is to really give you a snapshot of expenditures that are in or exceed $5,000. So as we all know, it's that time of year. So there's payment to American Rock Salt. Next is B&M International. This is the January rents for our courts facility. Next is Bluestone Creek Development, January rent for Parks and Rec facility. Payment to Shalafo Law for legal services for support of our town assessor. Payment to Harris Beach for our town attorney, November legal fees services. Payment to Integrated Systems for the final server and window upgrades. Payment to Labella Associates for professional services for November. This is our town engineer. You'll see the total is $60,812.50. There are chargebacks to developers, which they have to pay. Overall cost for this is $40,395. Next is payment to Lehigh Hanson, materials for numerous road projects. And payment to the New York State Comptroller for October and November. These are court fees that we collect, but Albany gets their big share. And then payment to the New York State DEC sewer discharge penalty settlement. A number of years ago, we had some multiple breaks in the sewer lines. The biggest one was on County Road 9. We had a number on Cobble Creek Country Club as well. Long story short, between the town and Victor, we both got our hands slapped. We had to invest significant money in improvements, and we actually did a $9.1 million capital sewer project a number of years ago. We concluded, I think, last year to also help satisfy the DEC. But the end of it, they also wanted some financial settlement. So each town, $25,000 from Farmington and Victor. Next is payment to NOCO Energy, for diesel fuel. Northern Highway Supply, RG&E, Terry Tree Service, Town Road work, and then payment to Van Bortle for 2 Ford F-150s. The total of the above-mentioned expenditures is $350,806.01. Total town expenditures minus the previous mentioned expenditures equals $56,380.14. And I thought it was worthwhile to spend a few extra minutes to explain this to you. Hopefully you appreciate it. Board members, any question on this manifest number 24?
No.
Hearing none, entertain a motion to approve.
So moved. Second.
All those in favor?
Aye.
Those opposed? This evening, we have no request for privilege of the floor. Public comments and concerns, an opportunity for members of the public care to approach the podium, offer any comment to the town board that they would like. This time I'll ask Susie, we have anyone on with us? Comments? There's no public comments, okay. Moving to reports of town officials, we have a report from our Director of Finance. We have a report from our Highway Department, overview of where we are at the transfer station and the cost of doing business over there. And then at your place setting, you should have had a report from IT as well. So those are the three reports that I have. And I'm just going to hold on the proclamation a bit, because I know that's why the vast majority of you arrived here this evening. But real quick, I have the Governor's Regional Council. The town did receive $75,000, working with Labella Associates to continue our MS4 town mapping. We anticipate, unfortunately, the county has received, Ontario County has received 50,000 KN95 face masks. We will start the distribution of them. Unfortunately, the home test failed the mark miserably. I think we received 4,300, so we're not going to go too far with 4,300. I have spoken to Mr. Bob Graham, our town fire marshal. Bob also heads up the emergency management committee for the town of Victor, and I think if we receive more, the intent possibly would, that each municipality would be responsible for distributing them to their own residents, much like Monroe County did as well. So more to follow on that. Again, 4,300 is a drop in the bucket when you have 112,000 residents living in the town, the county. So if anything, I think what it did today, good intention, in my opinion, by the county to try to get some of these out there, but I just think it created some ill feelings, unfortunately. So, and at this time, I know I have the honor of reading a proclamation, but I do know as well, I want to note that we have actually 3 members of the Fishers Fire District Board of Commissioners. We have Mr. Fisher, Kyle Fisher, he's the chair, Mr. Michael Skidmore, and Mr. John Williamson. So thank you, 3 gentlemen, for your attendance here as well. And I'm going to ask Chief Chapman and Mr. Pete Marasco, if you would, I'd like you to introduce some folks with you here this evening, if you both of you would, please. Because I think it's important, we don't get these opportunities enough, but an opportunity for the Victortown Board, as well as the members of the Fishers Fire District to meet each other.
Thank you very much. For those who don't know me, I'm Peter Marasco. I'm the president-elect for next year, the Fishers Volunteer Firemen's Association. I'd like to take a moment to have members, past and present, that are here tonight to stand up or raise your hand, which actually is probably just about everybody in this corner, to be recognized. Past and present members have given a lot of time and energy to our department. I also like to take this time to thank our founding members of the community, the Hamlet of Fishers, that back in 1921 decided to, or took the time to realize that there was a problem and they needed to organize and put together a volunteer fire department. And they've been going strong now for 100 years. So I just want to document that.
Well, I just see Joel Richter just taking a photo, and I can tell you, I know, Joel, you spent a lot of time organizing this, and there was a great newspaper article back Friday, April 30th of this year. I think many of you have seen that. So I'll tell you what I'm going to do. Why don't you gentlemen just slide over here just a bit, and I'm going to take your picture rather than Joel having to.
Make sure you're smiling.
Hope you would smile. Come on now. Couple of them. Okay. So, Pete and Chief, you stay right there. Proclamation to recognize the 100th anniversary of the Fishers Fire Department. Whereas the Fishers Fire Department was formed on June 21st, 1921, by a group of citizens who recognized the need to have fire protection in our area. And whereas since 1921, the Fishers Fire Department has been responsible for protecting the lives and property of Fishers and Victor residents and businesses, as well as those who visit and travel through our town on a daily basis. And whereas the Fishers Fire Department started out as an all-volunteer organization and today operates as a combination department in conjunction with the Fishers Fire District with both paid, full-time staff and volunteer members. And whereas the Fishers Fire Department helps to ensure the safety of the people who come to work, live, and play in Victor and Fishers, and whereas the men and women of the Fishers Fire Department continue to serve our area professionally and with a dedication to life, safety, and property conservation, and now, therefore, be it resolved that the Victor Town Board and the citizens of Victor and Fishers recognize the centennial anniversary of the Fishers Fire Department and thank all those brave and dedicated firefighters who have served our community over the past 100 years, as well as those who continue to serve, protect, and respond to our citizens in times of distress, and be it further resolved that the Victor Town Board does hereby proclaim the year 2021 as the official 100th anniversary of the Fishers Fire Department, and be it further resolved that a copy of this proclamation be sent to the Fishers Fire Department, the town historian, and be entered into the town of Victor's historical records. Well, it's my pleasure present the acting chief and president-elect. I know I'm going to do the COVID this, okay? Here you go, gentlemen. I don't know where it is. Thank you, thank you. Ladies and gentlemen, thank you, all of you. See a lot of familiar faces here, and you know where it all started many years ago. So thank you all, your career as well, all of you.
Thank you.
Okay. Board members, do you have any committees that you'd like to report on?
I'd just like to make mention regarding to the Parks and Rec CAC on the 16th of December, we had an open house here at Town Hall for the proposed dog park at Harlan Fisher Park. I thought that their landscape engineers did a nice job putting together some large format posters. We didn't have a tremendous community showing, but we did have a couple of residents come through and take a look. And so far, the feedback from the door-to-door, the feedback from this open house, I think has been altogether positive. And really nothing notable has come from it that would otherwise say the community is not supporting this. So again, another successful component of moving towards the dog park, and I thank those folks for putting a lot of work into it on the CAC.
Great. Thank you. Appreciate the update on that. Any other updates? Okay. Moving to the resolutions, starting with resolution number 1. This is a correction of manifest number 22. This has to do with the change, reducing by $40.48.
So moved. Second.
Okay, offered by, yes,
I didn't get it.
Councilman Kohovic offered, second by Councilman Guinan.
Okay, thank you.
All those in favor?
Aye.
Number 2, allocate funding for the Victor Local Development Corporation. Again, this is our 2022 fiscal year contribution for their operations.
So moved.
Second.
All those in favor?
Aye.
Those opposed? Number 3, authorized payment, Town of Farmington for electrical code upgrades to the Victor Sewer District lift stations. And again, as you know, we've been trying for a number of years to get the backup generator powered, and that was certainly another area that was cited during the DEC's response to both Farmington and Victor. And this is for pump station 24 and number 26.
So moved.
Second.
All those in favor?
Aye.
Number 4, budget transfer to fund vehicle purchases for the Highway Department. Again, resolution number 85 was back on the 22nd of this year. Purchase of these 2 trucks, and we were short $3,753.97. And the first resolve identifies the line items that monies will be coming from.
So moved.
Second.
All those in favor?
Aye.
Karen, can you hear? Okay.
I'll let you know.
Okay. Resolution number 5, there was a revised one, actually. This is the one, so just the one that was in your packet. If you have paper copies, just disregard. You will have to, on support of this, there is signatures for the members as well. This is the 2022 agreement for the expenditures of the highway monies under New York State Highway Law, Section 284. This is accumulation of expenses that the highway superintendent plans to, areas he plans to spend the money next calendar year. And we do a formal resolution. So, questions?
So moved.
Second.
Okay, all those in favor?
Aye.
Those opposed? Number 6, purchase of a 2022 Milton Caterpillar 962M. And again, coming off the New York State bid, we'll be trading in a 2020 Caterpillar 962M wheel loader. Total cost to us, $35,000 after the trade-in. Any questions, board members?
So moved.
Second.
All those in favor?
Aye.
Those opposed? Number 6 is passed. Moving to 7, purchase of a 2022 felling foot, 20-foot IT drop deck, whatever, Mark, yeah, Mark's about nodding. This does come off of a
Big contract.
contract, off Sourcewell contract, okay, and we are declaring another piece of equipment as surplus.
So moved.
Second.
All those in favor?
Aye.
Those opposed? Moving to number 8, this is a purchase of a 2023 Western Star Tandem. We'll be declaring a 2013 Western Star Tandem as surplus as well, and piggyback off the Onondaga County contract.
So moved.
Second.
All those in favor?
Aye.
Those opposed? Moving to number 9, amending resolution number 115 of this year, Contract Mutual Omaha for short and long-term disability insurance. This resolution is needed. We are now including our part-time Victor employees. And again, on the first resolve, these are individuals who are employed for 52 weeks of the year and are scheduled to work an average of 20-plus weeks. So that's the change and why it was needed here this evening. Questions? Hearing none, a motion to approve number 9.
So moved.
Second.
All those in favor?
Aye.
Those opposed? Moving to number 10, creation of a heavy equipment mechanic position. And again, identified in the first whereas, created an additional heavy equipment mechanic due to review of duties, responsibilities, and needs within the town highway department. First resolve identifies the budget line item. Questions on this resolution?
So moved.
Second.
Yeah, all those in favor?
Aye.
Those opposed? Moving to number 11. purchasing signage and posts for the Auburn and Lehigh Valley trails and pedestrian bicycle road crossings.
So moved.
Second.
Councilman Kohovic, and
Yeah. Second. Sorry, I didn't hear you.
all those in favor?
Aye.
Those opposed? Number 11 is moving to number 12, 2022 contracts for the town fuel access, and this would include the Village of Victor, the Victor Fire Department, and the Victor Farmington Volunteer Ambulance. And this contract would run from January 1st, 2022 through December 31st, 2022.
So moved. Second.
All those in favor?
Aye.
Number 13, this is an agreement with Mercy Flight Emergency Services for this next calendar year. Again, for 1 year, totaling $5,000, not to exceed.
So moved.
Second.
All those in favor?
Aye.
Those opposed? Moving to number 14, acquisition of an easement, Monroe County Water Authority, 1277 Brace Road and 0 Brace Road.
So moved.
Second.
All those in favor?
Aye.
Those opposed? Number 14 has been approved. Number 15, execute consent order with the New York State DEC for settlement and payment of the violation. I spoke of that earlier tonight when I was up on the this evening's abstract. Any questions at this time?
So moved. Second.
All those in favor?
Aye.
Those opposed? Okay, number 15, after public hearing, this is the local law opting out of allowing cannabis retail dispensary licenses within the town of Victor as authorized under the cannabis law, Article number 4. So as promised, I said I'd make a few comments. So first and foremost, and Chauncey, you touched on it, we did, the town took action adding on smoking regulations throughout the town. We had never had those before in their park. They're very difficult to enforce. They'll still be tough to enforce tomorrow. But without them, how could any board member, how could our town code enforcement officer or any staff answer a response or have a response for a homeowner? We'll say a young family's at one of our parks and some individuals are enjoying cannabis there and we have no smoking regs. So we implemented the smoking regs. I recommended that the village do the same. The village did follow through and do the same. The village actually was, I think, took action maybe before us. We also opted out of the smoking lounges. We didn't think that was something that we wanted here in the town. The Village of Victor has already voted to allow a dispensary. It's right up here on off of Maple Avenue where Finn's Tap Room is. That whole corridor there will be for dispensary purposes. And this town board, it was actually, I think, myself that I ended up at the 11th hour last meeting, coming up with a couple things that I wanted to see added to the process for us. We were originally going to opt in as of last meeting, and then it was myself who said, you know what, I would like to have it, the law written that we would not have any more dispensaries than we would liquor stores tied into that, if that's possible. And then I was also looking for a distance, a buffer between, there are some residential areas, and I'd like a buffer. And I've heard from a number of residents, though I did ask a couple of the same residents. I said, well, there's a liquor store there in one of those plazas, and you didn't ask for a buffer there. So I think, to the points you made, ma'am, there's a lot of uncertainty from folks that they just don't understand. This board has had a presentation and by the individuals that are actually going to open the one in the village here. And certainly I don't think there was anything that made me not want to allow a dispensary at some point. So
I did send Suzie, and she's going to send it to the board, the study that Glenn was referring to, a number of the things in there that, that say, when you look at it in comparison to alcohol and the number of alcohol places we got around here, you know, we have a lot of them. It's no worse and it's better in some ways than alcohol consumption.
Yeah.
I mean, I think we're going to lose out, you know, on some revenues from the opting out of the consumption. If you opt back in fairly soon into the new year, I think you get your regulations set up, I think it'll work. You'll get, you know, you look at the Finns versus New York Beer Project, okay? The revenues that come between those two into the town from sales tax, well, New York Beer Project, and they're both consumption places, and so if you're going to have a consumption place, it probably ought to be up in the high-end district up there, just because of the revenues that you receive. I know from a dispensary point of view, I would think there would be 2 to 3 times the revenues from,
Yeah, and our intention is to zone it, and that was our intent. You know, the current, in our original resolution 2 weeks ago, get off the New York State Thruway onto 96 from that point north to the Monroe County line. And we don't see it townwide. That's nothing we had any desire for, but we do see it. We know there'll be other stops along the New York State Thruway, but from an advantage standpoint, we have a regional mall and other attraction points where people come here, and the intent being that this would be part of that shopping experience as well. I'll open it up to any of my colleagues if you would like to offer input.
I certainly know, as one member, I quite honestly support, moving forward with this. I will vote this evening to, pass this resolution from the perspective that we evaluate the options of, limiting the number of these dispensaries to not exceed the number of liquor stores, if that's, within our legal abilities to regulate that. And also to see, maybe give it a few months to see what these regulations look like. And I do think that there is some, I read a newspaper article last week that on one of the other town boards in the state had held off for now, but sounded like they kind of were moving towards approving it once they saw the regulations, and they used the term cart in front of the horse. And I can't argue with that too much because we don't necessarily know what the regulations look like. That said, once we know what the regulations look like, once we understand this better, once we can identify it, how we can regulate it, zone it, make sure the buffers are appropriate, make sure if we can, we don't limit it. We limit it to not exceed the, we currently have 2 liquor stores in the town, not exceed that. I will actively, work towards hopefully getting us to approve this, and I do think that it's something that we should do. I understand the concerns of the residents that live nearby some of the bordering areas. I can appreciate that certainly, but I think, as I mentioned last meeting, the families that I talk to in the area that I know use the term, it's 2021, we've got to keep with the times. And I think as a regional destination point, from the tax revenue perspective, from bringing people here to, they stop off, make their purchase, and then they go to a gas station, a restaurant, the mall, a shop in the village. It's just going to bring more people to our town to do business and to spend money, and I think that that's a good thing. So I will vote tonight to go with this resolution on the understanding that hopefully we can move forward with approving this in the very near future.
If I might add a comment, since I own a store in the mall, and you're 100% right, we have so many international people or so many destinations that come in, and I do believe obviously there'll be a responsible element of not imbibing and driving, just like there is with opioid and drinking. But you're right, the Finger Lakes community is looking to make it a destination, just like it is for winery, increase tourism, increase revenues for the town, and really elevate it to be a sophisticated ecosystem, not necessarily something that people will detract from property values, but truly enhance it. And there are already some elements in the regs that denote that you can't be within 500 feet of a school or 200 feet of a church, just like there are with alcohol. So the same board will be looking at that. So 100% concur with your statement.
Thank you. I also will, the last supervisor I have is that I will support and advocate for, once we do approve this and we do see revenue coming in from that those revenue sources, as I believe I've heard you mention as well, certainly target some of things like enhanced law enforcement and funding some of the things within our town that truly are a benefit to our resident and transient population. So, thank you.
Yeah, great point, because we had identified that it wasn't going to just go in the general fund. It was going to be specific for items that we could, and certainly education, and we would include, as well as cannabis, just, the whole opioids and as well as alcohol, so working, whether that means working with the school district, working with the library. We do contract with Ontario County for additional enhanced law enforcement in our town. That would be an opportunity to either throw some more funds for that as well. And we also have a speeding issue in our town where residents and visitors to our community speed. And so more law enforcement presence for that, more solar radar signs as well to enhance. So public safety was, I think, one of the key drivers that all of us thought it was an opportunity to come up with some revenue, additional revenue that we could help. And find ways to work with the school district as well for our youngest, residents of our town. Any other comments, board members?
Well, I think just as a board, we agreed to tread cautiously on this topic, and that's the reason why we're going to opt out for now. But I think we all agree also that it is the future and it's coming. So next year, we'll see how things go, kind of tread cautiously, define some of the things that we believe are important, and then put it into the zoning, and then we can go move forward. So I think that's really our thing.
The attorney from Harris Beach that helped write this, he's actually from Yonkers office, I think, and, so they get it firsthand, a large metropolitan city. They don't see this happening next year. That is, before licenses will be issued, it'll probably be 2023 before this happens, unless you hear differently. If you have something, if you would be so kind, go to the podium, and I know our town clerk she wants to make a comment.
Thank you. Yeah, I would welcome to circle back to your points, to partner with the educational aspect with the college. Obviously, I'm a professor, adjunct professor at FLCC. We'll be having some events coming this spring once some of the rules and regs have been disseminated. There's a comment period as well that we can provide comments to help make them robust and work well for the residents, as well as those social equity people that have been disproportionately affected by the war on drugs. But to your point, and study other states like Colorado. In our class, we study different states and correlate some of the best practices that we can impart, what worked well, what didn't work well, obviously to mitigate some of the risk factors and enhancing some of the legacy markets to make sure that the funds do go to the state and to the county and to the local as denoted, as well as some social impact, social justice, education, and, Colorado gave back $400 million when they first launched to the residents and to the school districts, just like you did with alcohol, some of the training that you did. I remember the car in the parking lot on prom night, to get people not to drive under the influence, same kind of programs. We'd welcome the opportunity in the future to partner with you, with the college. We'll be doing some incubator programs, some workshops to make sure it is a compliant and sophisticated market. And I would lend that F.L. Gorman with Harris Beach, I've done some work with him, and we'll be doing some events with the city of Rochester, as well as some of the senators that are very supportive, including Senator Cooney. So we would welcome the opportunity to partner, make sure that any and all objections are adhered to, and provide comments to the board as denoted. So I just wanted to add that.
Oh, thank you.
Thank you.
Appreciate your attendance and your input here tonight. Town clerk.
Supervisor, there was a comment that came in on the online submittal concerning this, so I wanted to make sure that it was mentioned.
Yes, board members, at your place setting, you should have had this is a resident who lives in Meadowlark Lane, which backs up to, I think, the Kohl's and Walmart Plaza. She speaks of activities around that area. She actually would prefer that we would have this a dispensary in the former Chili's, but as far as I know, Chili's is still
open.
Yeah, so
Potentially Denny's, maybe?
Maybe she meant Denny's.
Yeah.
Maybe she meant
Okay.
Denny's.
well, okay. I don't think I asked for a first or a second, have I?
No.
No. And this would be a roll call vote. So, board members, I need a motion to approve.
So moved.
Okay,
Second.
second, and by roll call, the clerk will call the roll.
Supervisor Maren,
Yes.
Councilman Guinan,
Yes.
Councilman Kohovic,
Yes.
Councilman Cusimano.
Yes.
Okay. Thank you. Public comment, an opportunity for members of the public here to address the board. Susie, do you have anyone on with you? Okay. No further comment, I'll entertain we're good? Yes. Motion to adjourn.
So moved.
Second.
All those in favor?
Aye.
Happy New Year to everyone.
Thank you.
May I give you my card?
Good, because